appears that Falcons quarterback Kirk Cousins is going to make $40 million to be a backup. At the moment, that's more money than Matthew Stafford is slated to make to start at quarterback for the Rams. A key coach for the Denver Broncos was arrested. More players have been given permission to seek trades than there are accusations against Justin Tucker. You get a trade, you get a trade, you get a trade. We could all be better without you. There's a fake Gronk rumor out there to address, and some sick cowards in the NFL want to ban the tush push. Green Bay. I'm looking at you, Green Bay. Today, I'll break down some of the odd moves and news stories happening before the NFL free agency period kicks off, as all the NFL people are down in Indy for the Combine. That's good sports. Don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel. We crossed 711,000 subscribers. I think the goal now is to try to get to 750,000 subs by the NFL draft. Don't forget, maybe the off season, but I still sell my coffee. We got Fuck the Refs, because they can be fucked in the off season too. And of course, our first flavored coffee, the Devil Magic. You can get my coffee at benchwarmershop.com. I got bad news. Prices are going up because of the world we live in. Coffee's gonna get more expensive. So if you want to get in on the already expensive prices, do it now before we gotta raise it more. Benchwarmershop.com. And don't ask me why the price of coffee beans will be going up. I don't know. I don't know why something would cost more money that we have to import from other countries. I have no clue why that might be happening, but it's going to happen. Fuck. The Green Bay Packers and the Atlanta Falcons want to ban the tush push. With all due respect to the Packers and Falcons, shut the fuck up. I can't think of a more cowardly notion than being an NFL team so scared that you attempt to ban a football play because your soft-ass team can't stop it. Even without the pushing of the tush, quarterback sneaks are pretty hard to stop anyway, right? I don't remember a single team whining when Tom Brady converted 90.5% of his quarterback sneaks. That's a better success rate than the tush push, by the way. Any NFL GM or head coach who's claiming this is about player safety is a liar. Specifically, Sean McDermott.
To me, there's always been an injury risk with that play.
McDermott is a member of the competition committee, and even though the Bills run a version of the tush-push play pretty successfully, not in the playoffs, Sean is citing player safety as a reason to consider banning it. Now, this is the same Sean McDermott who let corner Christian Benford play in the playoff game against the Chiefs a week removed from a concussion so he could get concussed again. That is as blatant a disregard for player safety as you will see. We have mounds and mounds of evidence that show us, 1, your brain cannot fully heal from a concussion in a week, and 2, your chances of suffering another concussion after receiving one increase significantly, especially when you still have brain swelling. So don't get it twisted. These teams want to ban it because there's one team in the NFL that is better at doing it than the rest of the teams.
I was never been a big fan. There's just no other play in our game where you can absolutely get behind somebody and push them.
I almost feel a little insulted because we worked so hard at that play.
It would be like telling Patrick Mahomes he can't extend a play, or Derrick Henry can't use a stiff arm, or Tyreek Hill needs to wrap it up.
Pull them off, do anything.
I actually like PFT's idea of keeping it, but you give the defense unlimited tries of jumping over the line to stop it. For the ban to take place, it will have to be approved by 24 NFL teams, and that vote won't be coming until the annual owners meeting in the spring, if it makes it that far. At least Packers GM Brian Gutekunst admitted why he wants to ban the play, stating they haven't been very good at stopping it. I actually respect his honesty quite a bit. Now I've got to inject a brief segment for Law and Order Sports. Denver Broncos outside linebackers coach Michael Wilhite was arrested this week for allegedly punching a cop in the face, which is something that is frowned upon by the police as well as employers. The incident began when Wilhite pulled up to the drop-off lane at the Denver airport and left his vehicle unattended. That's a big no-no there if you've ever been. Oh God, they are strict about that shit. He left his vehicle unattended, which a police officer informed him was something you couldn't do. Wilhite told the officer to shut up, allegedly, got into a shoving match with him, and eventually punched him in the face before the officer tased Wilhite. Now a judge has set a $5,000 bond for him, and we can safely assume that Denver will be in the market for a new outside linebackers coach. And to be honest, that really sucks. Not just because he assaulted a police officer, allegedly, but because he seemed to do a really awesome job of coaching up Jonathan Cooper, breakout star Nick Bonito, and even Denver's rookie Jonah Ellis. Denver set a franchise record with 63 sacks in 2024, and the outside linebackers were a big reason they kept getting to the quarterback game after game after game. Wilhite was on Sean Payton's coaching staff all the way back in 2019, but I really don't think there's a way he keeps his coaching job in the NFL after an incident like this. Just kidding. If the Broncos release him, he will be on the Chiefs coaching staff in minutes. Now, I think the Broncos can delay a decision on this matter until it plays out in court and then determine an appropriate punishment. I never promote violence unless it can benefit my football team, and since Wilhite appeared to be doing his job very well, I think this is a great time to remember how powerful the act of forgiveness can be.
Forgiving people in silence and choosing never to talk to them again.
Moving on to, more Broncos news. Or reporting, at least. The sources. Oh, the almighty sources. Cecil Lammey from 104.3 The Fan reported that legendary tight end Rob Gronkowski may be eyeing an NFL return after 2 separate retirements.
Sources have told me that Rob Gronkowski, 4-time Super Bowl champion, is training, working out at high altitude in Vail, Colorado, to make a return to the National Football League.
This is the type of story that's obviously going to get a lot of traction on social media, but I really hate to burst everyone's bubble when I tell you that there's just not that much here to go off of. It's a lot of conjecture. Here's some key words I found in the article. May, potential, could, may, could, would, should, and finally if. My antenna goes up when I see all of those words in a story next to the ever nebulous sources. Not gatekeeping the profession of reporting, but until I see something out of Schefter, Rappaport, Pelissero, or Glazer, I'm not going to hold my breath on a 36-year-old tight end who hasn't played since the 2021 season, returning to join my favorite team. Speaking of those guys, what did Ian Rappaport say about these Gronk rumors? Cecil, why? Why would you even say this shit then? Oh man, so yeah, it's bullshit. It smelled like bullshit, looked like bullshit, turns out it's bullshit, but doesn't mean it wouldn't have been fun.
Gronkowski is ready for a mentorship role, but still can make plays.
The return of Gronkowski, is there any truth to any of that?
We just signed him, actually.
I mention this to show you all how quickly a theory proposed by a local media person can turn into a blaze. I know Cecil Lammey. He's a nice guy and a good draft analyst. He's not a newsbreaker, though, and this is, in my opinion, something that was probably said between all of the NFL dudes 6 beers deep while they all convene in Indianapolis for the Combine. It gets tweeted out by an aggregator. Everyone in Broncos Twitter world retweets it, and then it becomes a fact. The way a sentence like maybe Gronk is considering returning turns into Gronk plans to unretire in the span of an hour is fucking wild. Remember, this literally was a bit. It was a joke for a segment.
A job at the Broncos for you. No training camp. You're 8 touchdowns shy of 100 touchdowns. I think I can get you that.
You think he'll like this t-shirt? I mean, we put the G instead of the B, and I'm working on changing our name to the Denver Broncos.
The Dallas Cowboys are planning to draft a quarterback, according to their co-owner and COO Stephen Jones. Now, don't get all excited that this means they're going to move on from Dak. This is most likely a reaction to the Cowboys not having the money to extend backup Cooper Rush. They're also planning on letting Trey Lance walk, and it might be a pretty long walk for the former number 3 overall draft pick based on what we've seen out of him recently. Honestly, I'd love to see Trey Lance play in the UFL this offseason to try and showcase the skills that got him drafted 3rd overall by the 49ers a few years ago. I doubt that the Cowboys will spend the 12th overall pick on a quarterback, but you never say never with Jerry Jones, do ya?
As big a risk as you could take.
Dallas also has a 2nd, a 3rd, and 4 5th-round picks, and I think a guy that could make sense for them in the mid-rounds would be Quinn Ewers, who of course played at the University of Texas. Now you're probably thinking to yourself, oh shit, I forgot Quinn Ewers declared for the draft, to which I would respond, I know, isn't that fucking crazy? I forgot too. But at the end of the day, I think this is more of a cost-saving measure than a succession plan for Dak. But a guy like Ewers would be prime for development in the Cowboys organization, and knowing he played in Texas means Jerry Jones has probably been watching him via a hidden camera in his dorm room for some time now. The Packers have given Jaire Alexander permission to seek a trade, and the Titans are allowing Harold Landry, edge defender, to seek a trade. The Jaire Alexander and Packers breakup has been in the works for a while. There's a chance he returns, but the issue with Alexander has been health. When on the field, Alexander has been one of the best corners in the league. The problem is Jaire has only played in 1 full season in the last 4. He's started in just 7 games in each of the last 2 seasons. The problem is I think there's a thought from the Packers' perspective that Alexander could or should be playing through some of the injuries he's had, that he's hurt, not injured. Their frustration with him not being on the field more has been pretty public, which is why they are happy to let him find a new team. Now, player injuries are always a concern or a factor when a team is targeting a guy in free agency or via the draft or for a trade, and the Packers probably hurt their chances of getting good trade value by intentionally or unintentionally letting it be known that they think Jaire could have played through some of his injuries. That's a very slippery slope, but if Alexander's agent can convince a trade partner he's healthy and he will be on the field, he could be a hot commodity. Tennessee's edge rusher Harold Landry should definitely pique someone's interest. Landry's 28, he'll be 29 when the season starts and can seek a trade partner. Now that makes me believe the Titans they're gonna draft edge rusher Abdul Carter at number 1 overall. And if they do trade back, it will be with the Giants at 3, where they still have a very good chance to land Carter. Landry looked like he was about to become the best edge rusher in the NFL in the 2021 season when he recorded 12 sacks and 22 QB hits. Then he tore his ACL, missed all of 2022. He's recorded 10.5 and 9 sacks in each of the last 2 seasons on a declining team. His total pressures dropped to a career low 30 last year. Landry's good, but probably doesn't justify his $24 million cap hit this year in Tennessee, and a trade would free up $10 to $17 million for the Titans. Now, you don't need a psychic ball to predict that Landry will be a New England Patriot. He played his best ball under Mike Vrabel, who drafted him out of Boston College, and the Patriots have a need at the position. I've never seen such an obvious move in my entire life.
In theory, we're trying to find younger, cheaper, better players.
The Washington Commanders are allowing defensive tackle Jonathan Allen to be traded, which will free up about $9 million in cap space for the Commanders, which they don't even really need. Washington has the 3rd most room to work with heading into free agency with $79.5 million. The NFL announced last week each team will have between $277 million to $281 million in cap space, which was about $20 million more than initially anticipated. The cap has risen by $53 million over the last 2 years, which means the NFL is printing fucking money like nobody else. Even with the rise, teams are still releasing and planning on trading players in the name of being cap casualties, which I feel isn't really a thing anymore. If the cap keeps rising at this rate, nobody's truly a cap casualty. We should more accurately call them players we just don't want any more casualties. The Commanders, quote, intend to do right by Allen, which means they won't trade him to some dead-end franchise like the Browns or Saints. No offense, but fuck you, Cleveland. Jonathan Allen is still pretty damn good. Commander fans would probably prefer to keep Allen over Payne, but Payne has too much money and 2 years left on his deal. Allen's entering the last year of his current deal, which is why the Commanders are trading him. They save a bit of coin this year and will get some compensation versus the none they would receive when he would eventually walk in 2026. Now, without checking, the Detroit Lions should be all in on acquiring Allen for their defensive line. Now, Allen missed half of last season with a pec injury, which makes him a perfect fit for the Lions. Brad Holmes, their GM, hinted that they can't afford a superstar edge rusher like Myles Garrett, but Allen could be in that magic money window for the Lions. All jokes aside, that was the first time Allen missed any significant chunk of time due to an injury. He can be a rental for a team like Detroit on his one-year deal, or whomever acquires him can give him a 2 to 3 year extension.
No, whomever is never actually right.
The tricky part for Allen is this draft class continues to be hailed as the best defensive line class since comedian was the first word we thought of when someone mentioned the name Bill Cosby. Teams that might consider Jonathan Allen are the Vikings, the Patriots, who will literally consider everyone with all the cap money they have, the Cardinals, who desperately need help in the trenches. If the Falcons weren't slated to pay Big Kirko $40 million to carry Michael Penix's equipment around, I'd say Atlanta should consider this trade as well. Kirk Cousins, let's get to him. Here's my hot take. While paying $27.5 million fully guaranteed plus $10 million more that becomes guaranteed in a few weeks to a backup quarterback is not ideal, it's also feasible with the rookie QB on a rookie contract. Having a quarterback like Cousins in your locker room and as an insurance policy if Penix gets hurt, which was a concern about him coming out of college, also not the worst spot to be in. This was the Falcons' plan anyway, right? The reason this does look stupid though is because the Falcons currently are $9 million over the cap. It's why this might be as big a bluff as Gronk's return. Kirk Cousins is the reason they're $9 million over the cap right now. They have a rookie quarterback on a rookie contract with none of the luxuries of having a rookie quarterback on a rookie contract. It's like wearing a condom and then learning it didn't work on two fronts. You've got an unwanted pregnancy and a fun new STD. And since it's not really up to you, you get to keep both. In the NFL, you have to have a plan, and the Falcons seemed to try and execute two plans last year. Pay a premium for an injured vet and draft a rookie. They wanted to be competitive now and also build for the future, and they possess an albatross of a quarterback contract for a quarterback who played like shit last year. Cousins stated that he injured his elbow in the Week 10 game against the Saints, which lines up with when he started playing horribly. I call bullshit on that because that's exactly what I would do too. If it's true, it's even worse because instead of telling Atlanta he couldn't throw effectively and giving them the option to play Penix, Cousins tanked their season, losing 4 games in a row. I love Kirk Cousins. I really do. I think he's sneaky funny, has a very likable, over-the-top dad personality, but make no mistake, he is greedy and selfish when it comes to his job. His contract with the Falcons is the pinnacle of greed. No 36-year-old man coming off an Achilles tear should claim to be worth $100 million guaranteed on a football field. And if your throwing arm is injured, don't play through it because you're scared the guy behind you will never give you your job back. Football is the ultimate team sport. Unless you're an aging, overpaid, rapidly declining quarterback.
Say Kirk is still there when you coach in OTAs in April. How do you handle that?
You know, I feel great about the human. I know who the human is.
Ultimately, I don't think the Falcons are telling the truth here. I think it's just a little bit of gamesmanship trying to artificially pump up his trade value and to allow the Falcons to recoup whatever they can after swinging and missing pretty hard on that whole situation a year ago.
Michael Penix is our quarterback.
Thanks for watching That's Good Sports. Please subscribe here to YouTube. Also, thanks for all the compliments about my mustache on the Matthew Stafford video. Looks like I might have to consider keeping it, even though my wife hates it. You guys, I do it for you. I do it for you.